Imagine a city with no cars, no streets, and no carbon emissions. One high-speed rail that travels through the whole city in 20 minutes. It's named The Line, a linear city currently under construction in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia desert, spanning 170 kilometers. Some are eager to move there, while others believe it's an impossible ordeal. Today, we're going to break down and analyze the question on everyone's mind. Will The Line become the world's biggest mega construction project, or a waste of $1 trillion? In July 2022, Saudi Arabia Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman proposed the construction of an artificial city in the northwestern Tabuk province, north of the Red Sea and east of Egypt. The Line would be the cornerstone of a high-tech metropolis known as NEOM, which stands for a new future, promising not only housing but a new way of city life for a projected population of 9 million inhabitants. It would actually consist of two parallel lines. Imagine approximately 2,000 buildings the size of New York Freedom Tower, each side by side. The communities would extend outward from a central location, all of them built and arranged in a line, and each individual community would be self-contained so that almost anything you could ever need would be 5 minutes away from you, from your work, your gym, your hair salon, and your favorite restaurants. Most, if not all of the city's services would be managed by sensors and AI. The Saudi Crown Prince revealed the renders of what the city would look like, and it's nothing short of grandeur. His Apple-like presentation revealed the line as a giant glass and mirrored wall, around 170 kilometers long and 200 meters wide, with greenery and foliage coming out from over the top, and a high-tech ventilation system to let the warm air out and the cool air in. People would dwell in interconnected communities called modules. In total, the structure would consist of 135 modules, each 800 meters in length and 500 meters tall, or equal to the length of over 8 football fields placed end to end, and a height exceeding that of the Petronas Twin Tower. This is all part of the Saudi Vision 2030, with the Crown Prince stating that its main goal is to tackle the current livability and environmental crises wreaking havoc throughout the world's cities. As for its anticipated price, around $100 billion, with some estimates suggesting up to $1 trillion. Primarily, the Line of NEOM aspires to be a 5-minute city. That should be the time taken to reach your essential facilities on foot. The rail line will be placed underground, so as not to interfere with urban life and maintain the city's visual appeal. That means no more rail structures that cast shadows over the afternoon walks or noisy trains that disrupt tranquil evenings. The transport system will be so integrated into the city's fabric that it will be practically invisible to onlookers. Surprising? Well, the train can only reach optimal speeds because of the city's linearity, as it won't have to deal with curves. The line will only have 4 stations. Fewer stops also mean fewer slowdowns and less acceleration, which allows the train to keep at high speeds as it travels. This translates into an efficient train system in theory, with fast travel and energy conservation alike. The line is supposed to run on completely green energy and become the heart of trade routes in the Middle East. But would people really enjoy living in a completely artificial city, with high-tech buildings, trains and AI-powered systems, and closed off completely from nature? What would happen to those who like nature walking or just escaping from the city hustle and noise? Well, NEOM will be built in such a way that it will never be more than a few steps away from nature. The buildings of NEOM will have a slim profile of around 650 feet wide and will be facing inward. And wait until you hear this. NEOM isn't just aiming horizontally, they're also planning to install skyward transportation. By utilizing electrically powered aircrafts, also known as eVTOL transportation options like the Volocopter, NEOM's planners aim to reduce travel time even more. These aircrafts are powered by 9 independent quick-change lithium-ion batteries and can provide their passengers with very stable flight, low and agreeable sound signatures and even 0 emissions during flight, which also fits with NEOM's ideal scenario of a low-carbon footprint. It will pioneer urban air mobility. But every rose has its thorn, and NEOM is no exception. The most glaring issue of this project is how the supposedly virgin land the Saudi government is building the project isn't actually virgin. It's the ancestral home of the Saudi Al-Hawaitat tribe, which has been sending urgent communications to the United Nations calling for help due to forced displacement and abuse by the Saudi authorities since as early as 2020. A prominent activist from the Al-Hawaitat tribe, Suleiman Mohammed Al-Tiqiq Al-Hawaiti, was even arrested and imprisoned, with his social media accounts deactivated, and other critics of the project were arrested and held by security forces. Upon hearing this news, some of their sponsors like Riot Games even pulled out of backing the project. Next up, as with all mega projects, there are doubts about whether it would be technologically and economically viable in the first place. The project already has a vocal minority of detractors, some of whom published a paper describing why this multi-millionaire project isn't as utopian as the prince's presentation makes it out to be. For comparison, the cost of building a new city are highly dependent on the location, with development running between $100,000 to $500,000 per resident, and in some cases, due to environmental factors like difficult locations, up to $1 million per future resident. But the plan is for at least 9 million people to live within a mere 13 square miles, which is why the costs could easily skyrocket to $1 trillion. The core idea here is a departure from typical city design, where commutes and environmental impacts are minimized. While this is not the first linear city ever conceived, the award here goes to La Ciudad Lineal, proposed by Arturo Soria y Mata in 1882. It will possibly be the first one to become a reality. But a line is the least efficient possible shape for a city. There's a reason why all 50,000 cities of planet Earth are round. Some researchers even proposed an alternative to the idea, called the circle, where they construct the same buildings in a circular form. People will only move to cities if there are jobs, and there will only be jobs if there are people. Incentives have to exist for people to find it cost-effective to move. And this is a serious issue, as without anyone moving in, construction of the line could just completely stop. After all, what's a city if not the sum of its inhabitants? And can this project really be environmentally sustainable in the first place? The structures promised by the line's architecture require more energy to maintain than medium-sized versions. Whatever clean energy the city runs on will probably be outdone by the energetical requirements of its structure, making it a moot point. Just building the project would have a carbon footprint of around 1.8 gigatons of CO2. After all, can you really build a 500-meter tall building out of low-carbon materials? The paper states that regardless of the number of stations on the line, at least 47% of the population will have a commute longer than 60 minutes. So regardless, most people will live too far away from their destination. The line's inhabitants will also depend too much on public transportation, and for everyone to be within walking distance of any station, there must be at least 86 of them, as per the paper. It's practically impossible for the line to only have 4 stations, unless people are expected to walk almost an hour to get there. Sure, they'll reach their desired destination in 5 minutes, but they'll waste even more time getting in and out of the stations in the first place. Not as comfortable in practice as the Saudi Crown Prince made it out to be on paper, huh? And what about the privacy concerns? The high technology of the line will increase surveillance from Saudi government because the structure will be filled to the brim with facial recognition and security software and hardware. And let's be honest, this sounds more like a dystopia, if anything. Regardless, construction on the line has already started, and it will be in a straight line, economically viable or not. Earthworks began in October 2021, with its first residents expected to move during 2024, and its first phase to be completed in 2030. You can even look up its development on Google Maps, where you can discover its site with offices close to the mountains, a NEOM community with a football field, a swimming pool, several gyms, and other tech facilities. Only time will tell if this was a sensible solution to the sustainability and livability crisis, or the birth of Earth's first dystopia. If you like this video's story, you're going to love this next one.